If you still have it open, go ahead and close down the Styles menu. And with the box that we drew in the previous lesson, let's take R for the rectangle tool and hover over the top corner endpoint closest to you here. Click and try moving your mouse on the top or the sides, and you'll see that the rectangle will give you an on-face inference. It's trying to draw the rectangle on one of these faces, so it's another inference you can use. Let's draw it on the top face. Go ahead and click to finish drawing that rectangle. Press P on your keyboard. That will give you a new tool called the push-pull tool. Hover around the surfaces and they will actively highlight. I want you to hover over the small rectangular surface you just drew. Click once and let go of your mouse and move your mouse up and down to push-pull this surface up and down. Click to finish a push-pull. Let's try this. Click again on that top surface to begin your push-pull, and then move your cursor all the way down till you get an on-face inference. So you see it says on-face, and click to finish that push-pull, and that surface will disappear. So that's a feature of push-pull where when you push-pull a surface back to a parallel surface, they cancel each other out, and it's an easy way to carve things away or punch out holes like doors and window openings. Go ahead and use push-pull to push-pull all of these surfaces so that you can get your shape looking roughly like what I have on my screen. Now press C for the circle tool. Notice if you hover over the various faces, the circle tool will change its inference from blue, red, or green. On this inside right surface where it's green, where you have the green inference, let's draw a circle, but let's center the circle. So we need to infer two midpoints. Hover across the top edge until you find its midpoint. Then move your mouse over to the vertical edge and hover down along it till you find its midpoint. Then move your mouse in and find that point where you have a dotted line shooting from both midpoints. Click and let go of your mouse there. Then move your mouse, and let's draw a circle that's not outside of this face, but to the inside. Click. So we've drawn a centered circle on this face in our 3D shape. Press P for push-pull. Let's hover over this circular surface so it's flat, so you can push-pull it. Click, and begin to push-pull it out, and then click to set it down. Now you can only push-pull flat surfaces, so if you try to hover over the circular or cylindrical surface, push-pull gives you a little no symbol, so you can't push-pull there. But back over on the flat surface, let's try this again. Click and let go of your mouse, and move your mouse. You begin push-pulling. Now notice you can move your cursor off of the face, and you can still be in the middle of a push-pull. Move your cursor all the way over to this outside face. I haven't clicked anywhere yet. I just hover on it and the inference takes over. Now click to finish the push-pull. Orbit around and you'll see what you did was you told SketchUp, hey, push-pull out to the same distance that that face is, or the same plane that that face is on. You could also push-pull and infer midpoints. So try this. Click to begin push-pulling that surface and move your mouse off of it and onto this edge. You won't get a regular on-edge inference, but if you move along it, eventually, and notice it's the arrow, the red arrow that I'm putting along the edge, it'll jump to the blue midpoint. Go ahead and click there, and that finishes the push-pull halfway. Now let's try to push-pull this surface back to where it came from. So click on it to begin push-pulling. And as you push-pull back, when you get really close to where you should be, you'll realize, or you should realize, that you can't eyeball this in SketchUp. No matter how close you think you are, it's really likely that you're going to be just a fraction off. Instead, trust inferences. Move your cursor over. Don't worry what's happening to the push-pull. Move it onto the face that's adjacent and click on it. And that's the same as we did with the other inferences. We just told it to infer that plane, so it's right back where it started. Now I talked about punching holes through. Let's punch this through and make a hole or a tunnel through our shape. So with push-pull, click once on the flat surface and begin push-pulling back. Now as you push-pull, a lot of inferences are going to start getting in the way and it's going to jump around. Don't worry, just keep going. But as you get too far out here, this push-pull is off into the distance. We don't want that. We wanted to punch a hole to the back face. Well, we can infer something about the back face even though we can't see it. Like, for example, let's hover over this right corner endpoint and click on it. That endpoint is at the same place as the plane in the back, so if you orbit around, you essentially push-pulled back to a parallel surface, and those two things canceled out, and you carved a tunnel through. Now there's another way to do that same thing. Let's undo back one step. Click on the undo arrow or use your keyboard shortcuts. Try this, and you'll need a 3-button scroll wheel mouse to make this work. Click and let go of your mouse button to begin push-pulling on that surface. Now, hold down on the center mouse wheel so it turns into the orbit and begin orbiting. Notice when you let go, you're still in the middle of a live push-pull, which allows you to orbit. Remember, holding down the center mouse wheel, you can even zoom back a little. You're still in the middle of a live push-pull. And once you can see the back face, you can actually put your cursor on that face and click, and then you see that punch out or that carve out happen. The first way we did was actually faster, but sometimes you'll be on a tricky 3-dimensional kind of problem, and it's really a lot easier if you can see what you're doing. And so orbiting while you're in the middle of a live push-pull or some other edit can be really helpful. Okay, let's orbit back around. What if you want to fill in this surface? So you want to keep the tunnel, but you don't want a surface showing here anymore. Or sorry, you don't want an opening here anymore. Well, remember, this is just the same as a 2-dimensional rectangle with a 2-dimensional circle with a hole cut out. And remember, with a hole cut out means that the face is missing. And when you have a closed loop of coplanar edges and a face should fill in, you can always heal it. Remember, take L for the line tool, so press the L key on your keyboard and roll your mouse wheel forward. Remember, this is a 24 segmented thing, so hover over an endpoint and click and trace to the nearest endpoint and click, and that surface fills back in. So you can heal back that surface. Orbit around and you'll see that there's still a tunnel on the inside. Now let's say you don't want this edge here at all. It's ugly and you still want your tunnel, but you want to get rid of the edge. Press E for the eraser tool and click to erase away the edge. But there's a problem. Orbit around and you still have the opening on the other side, but if you orbit enough, you realize that the tunnel is missing. So that cylindrical surface needed the edge, the circular edge on this side and the other side to exist. Remember, when you erase away an edge, the surface can't exist anymore. So that had an unintended consequence over here. Let's orbit around and undo back one step. Whenever you have an edge that you no longer want to see in SketchUp, but you need to maintain having it in order for the geometry to work out, you can hide it. So try this. Press spacebar for the select tool, and then right-click on the edge. So I right-clicked and I accidentally got the surface. If that happens, that's okay. Just move your cursor onto the edge and right-click again till you see that it's a blue edge. And then pick the option for hide. When you hide that and orbit around, you can still see that the tunnel can exist. So hiding is just good for visually not showing that edge. Whenever you want to see the edge again, like you need to edit it or something else, you can always go back up to your Edit menu and pick the option for Unhide, and then pick Last. It's the last thing we hid, or All would be fine too. It's the only thing we've hidden.